Hello folks, this is Sleepless Night, back again after quite a long time away. I'm sure many of you thought I was dead. If anyone actually ever did watch the channel, must have thought I was dead, but unfortunately, sorry to disappoint you, I'm not. I'm very much alive. I'm back. The reason I'm back now is because I'm here to show you the beta release of a game that I have waited for 30 years. 30 years waiting for a game. Trying to get your head around that if you can. If, by the way, I sound a little bit tired of this same old routine, it's because in the last 24 hours I've tried to record this 6 times, but because of various problems with the capture software and then my video editing software last night, finally, once I did manage to get a successful capture, I'm doing it again today. So if it all sounds a bit routine, my apologies. What I'm going to do is show you through the world of Elite Dangerous. So yeah, 30 years. 30 years, that's a long time to wait for a game. Many people said to me, don't be disappointed. Don't be disappointed, you know, this game, it might not be all it's cracked up to be. But I said, my answer was always, look, if this game turns out to be just the same as the 1984 Elite, but with slightly better graphics, then, you know, that's good enough for me. That's all I'll want. But and of course, so far, it's lived up to those expectations and more. I've just been playing it for the last couple of days. But of course, this is just the beta version. The full release, the full game main retail release later on this year. We'll have much more going for it. Many added features as well, which we don't have. I'll cover a couple of those as we go through, but I'm going to try and make this video as quickly as possible. But what I'm going to do, just to give you an idea, is I'm going to run you through a couple of the things here, and I'm going to let you see this starport, right? And what I've done, I'll show you on the Galactic map here, right? So we go over to the Galaxy map, and in we go. So here is the Galactic map. Now if we zoom right out there, okay, you can see now finally Frontier managed, or planned to, David Braben, one of my heroes, he plans to make this entire galaxy, so the whole Milky Way galaxy, visitable, if you like. So the whole thing will be incorporated. So, you know, talking about 200 million stars or something like that, or 200 million star systems is what they're talking about making here. You know, that's an awful lot of star systems that you'll be able to visit. And what we're going to do at the moment, because this is just the beta release, and this is the first stage of the main beta. Of course, there's been an alpha release, several stages of the alpha release, and there was a premium beta release before this. I only joined in the beta release because, unfortunately, my pockets aren't deep enough to have allowed me to get the the main release. Now, at the moment, at this stage of beta, there are 55 star systems that you can visit. 55. At the moment, we are here. We are at BD 472112. Catchy name, I'm sure you'll agree. Now, if I show you the reason that I'm going to show you this, I've travelled all the way out here. So where you would normally start is here at Erenin, I believe, if I recall. I've been playing this for a couple of days, so I can't really remember where we started the game, but I think it was at Erenin. And so normally you'd start all the way over here, all the way over. Excuse me. Oh my god, can't, what a tool. So here we'd start all the way over at Erenin, so I think this is where we started. Now that doesn't look like a long way, but it's several jumps. Now to get to where we are now, I've had to come up through Dehan, and then Morgor there, and then down to this location, all so that I can take you across to this rather isolated system here. So what we're going to do in this tutorial, this video rather, I'm going to travel from here to here. And the reason that I'm going to do that for, and this is mainly, I should say, for friends of mine that haven't got elite yet but are planning to, and I just want to show them a couple of the basic gameplay elements, just very, very simple. So we're going to go from here to here, and the reason for that is because there are all kinds of different space stations that you can visit in this game, but there is a vast difference between this space station that we're at now, which is one of the old Coriolis style space stations from the original game, if you remember, if you're old enough, like me, to remember playing the original Elite. And then we're going to go all the way over to Weird here, and the reason for that is because that space station, to use the technical term, it's very, very pretty. So I had to empty my cargo hold even to get out here. So we're really on the backward ass edge of nowhere. Now, this is just with the Sidewinder, bear in mind. So if you have one of the other ships later on, you can get to these systems a lot more easily. But enough messing around. What we're going to do, so we are here. We're going to select to go out over to this place here, and then we're going to go out. So what we're going to do is we're going to go to starport services here first of all, and the reason I'm going to do this is because I wanted to show you just basics. So at the moment I'm in this ship here, the Sidewinder. This is me, and the Sidewinder is a pokey little ship that can only hold 4 cargo canisters, so it can only hold 4 tons of cargo, which is pretty dreadful really, I think you'll agree. So we're going to outfitting. So there we can see this is my ship. And if we go to, you know, we can look around the ship, clicking on these various utility mounts here. But if we go to, I could add a utility mount there, like a chaff launcher or a heatsink launcher or something like that. The reason I'm not doing that is because I am saving up to get myself, the shipyard here has no ships in it, but I'm saving up to get myself like a Cobra Mark III, which can haul, I think, 36 tons of cargo, which if memory serves is about the same as it could in the original Elite, but I may be wrong about that. I'm sure there'll be people watching this, particularly my buddy Frank, who will probably correct me on that if I'm wrong. He's always very, very fond of correcting people when they are wrong and being very loud about it, you know the sort. But he's a good guy, and we used to have a lot of fun playing the old Elite. We came back to it as adults back in the 90s and just used to sit up till all hours of the morning playing the original game. So what I'm going to show you here, so I bought coffee at the last station here, right? So the last place before coming here, so I went out to Weird to make sure it was the right station before making this video, and then came back. So the coffee there, it's an agricultural world, and the coffee there I bought. So if you look there, look, you can see that I bought this for, if you look to the right, you can see I bought this for 894 credits per item. Now the reason I say look to the right is a bit confusing. If I forget to do this, I hope you can spot these things that I'm talking about, because the capture software that I'm using here means that the cursor that I'm currently waving over on the right, oops, I was waving over on the right to show you where I'm looking at, will not appear in the video. It won't actually be there. Maybe I'll try and put some annotations or something like that to show you where you're supposed to be looking at any particular time. So I bought that for 894 credits an item, but if you look across here, it's selling for 1,375 credits an item. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to sell this, all of it, and that makes me a profit of 1,924 credits. Now, the reason I'm saving up for a Cobra Mark III is, let's say that at some of these worlds, for example, the only thing you can haul is algae, or let's say bio waste. So here we have bio waste, right? So here you can buy bio waste for 18 credits. So you can buy bio waste for 18 credits, and the Galactic average is 43 credits. If you look all the way up to the right hand side of the table, the Galactic average is 43 credits. Okay. So you know you've got about 25 credits profit on each ton of that. 25 credits profit on each ton maximum, well, or sort of average. If you manage to sell someone, find a station that is selling or buying at about 43 credits, you're going to make 25 credits per ton, which is great. But unfortunately in the Sidewinder, which only holds 4 tons of cargo, that's a profit per run of 100 credits, where it costs you, on a single run, it probably cost you it'll probably cost you a quarter of that in fuel. So this is not a good way to make money. Anyway, I think we've done enough talking. So what we're going to do is head out. So I want you to pay very close attention. Let me just make sure. Oh yeah, fuel tank 100%, reservoir 100%. So we're good. So I want to pay very close attention to the way that this space station looks and sounds, because this is most of the space stations at this point in the game. Most of the space stations in the area that I've travelled through, which is not, you know, a very wide sort of area. Most of the space stations in that area are clunky. They're old, sort of rusty things, and they do look very pretty inside, but you know, nothing compared to the one that we're going to. So even the voices, you can hear those announcements of the space station. They'll be different from space station to space station. There'll be subtle differences in lighting and things like that on the exterior in particular, and in the way the announcements are made. You know, some of them will be very threatening in their announcements, some of them will be extremely polite, like the one that we're going to now. But listen to the sound of the hydraulics as I go up and out onto the surface of the space station, get ready to launch here. And then when we dock at Weird in a few minutes' time, then listen to the hydraulics as we go back down into the thing there. And there are even those subtle differences, they're just brilliant. The subtle differences here, they're quite clunky. So return to the surface, listen. Okay, so fairly sort of clunky hydraulic. So, you know, take a good look around at what's here, and then you'll note the difference when we go underground and into the hangar at Weird. You'll notice that even the hydraulics are softer. I love that. There's a subtle differences. They're just brilliant. So we're going to launch.
Ship released. Engines engaged.
Just thrust upwards. Now, one thing you want to be very careful of here, so you just look, you can have a look inside this space station here. So one thing you want to be I shouldn't loiter because you get told off for it, but one thing you want to be careful of is retracting your landing gear before you set off. So I'm not going to, just to show you what will happen. So let's say we're going to thrust forward at, like, say 20 kph, right? Now if I zoom in there, you can see we're at 22 kph, right? Now, if I now retract the landing gear, you can see that goes at 42 kph. Now that's not too much of a problem at this point. But when it is a problem is if you set off towards the exit at 60 kph or 70 kph, which is quite fast inside the space station. You really don't want to be doing that. And you're heading towards this. Then you suddenly remember to retract your landing gear. What will happen is you'll zoom forward at about, let's say you're traveling at 70 kph. What will happen is you then retract your landing gear, you'll zoom forward about 140 kph and possibly smack ass into the ass of a Cobra that's on the other side of you, or waiting to get out of the docking ring there. And the reason for that is because the physics of this game is so cool. Inside the station, what it is, they've created an atmosphere.
What an atmosphere! I love a party with a happy atmosphere.
And the physics of this game are quite good. So what happens is that with the landing gear down, or I presume this is the reason it happens, the landing gear down, it creates drag. Right? So when you retract the landing gear, it reduces drag greatly and you just shoot forward. What I'm going to do, I'm just going to turn around here before we start heading towards our destination. Oops, sorry, spinning a little. I'm adjusting my mouse pad, so sorry about that. So as you can tell, those followers of the old Elite here, I've zoomed straight out in a straight line, more or less. So that's the Coriolis space station. So you know how this works if you played the original Elite. You know, you'd line up and, you know, you try to match your rotation like that somehow. Right? And then you know, so you can try and get your rotation about right. And then sort of jet, oops. Boom, boom. Look at the little beams firing. Looks like there's something of a Barney going on here. So, what we're gonna, I'll tell you what, I'll just do a flyby of the space station here so you can get a closer look. So these are like what I'm talking about, even the subtle differences between one space station and another. So they're not just the vast differences that you can see from the outside of one to another, but the subtle differences that you can see as well. Like this one is lit up with that red kind of rather evil looking lighting system here. So there you go, look. Yeah. Very pretty looking thing. That's glory there. Incidentally, I should also point out as well that if you look over here, see, it says Sleepless Night, okay? Balance 26,104 credits, kills 0, crime clean, bounty clean. Right? Now, the reason for that is because I've only been playing this game for a couple of days now, and I'm not really quite comfortable enough. I've been notified today by email that my order has arrived at the store where I ordered it to, so I've ordered a flight control system. So I've ordered a flight control system for this, but at the moment I'm using a keyboard and a mouse. Now I'm sure some of you, mouse is fine, you can pitch and roll, no problem whatsoever. But what you have to do, see, now if I let go of the mouse, I'm still rolling over, right? So what you have to do is find that sort of dead space there each time. Whereas of course using a joystick, if you're using a joystick, of course you can just release the joystick or take the pressure off and it'll just set itself back. So you roll the joystick and you release the pressure and it just automatically sets itself back to the centre. With a mouse it doesn't do that, so it's a little bit more difficult. I find it difficult to control anyway with a mouse, not as easy as I would with a joystick. So what we're going to do now, so I'm not going to, so anyway, I got off the track there. The reason for that, that's why I have no kills so far, because at the moment I tend to flee from combat until I get more used to the game, a little bit more comfortable. All I'm doing is trading and trying to sort of upgrade my ship a little bit more. So this is solo play, by the way. This is online play, but solo play, so I'm not in the open game, so I'm not really interacting with other people at the moment. But I will do that once I have my flight controller system and I'm a little bit more comfortable moving around. So what we're going to do now is point yourself at the star system you're going to head to. So first of all, you have to be throttled up. So if you don't, it'll tell you to throttle up. So if you're down here, you activate your hyperdrive. Or it'll tell you to throttle up before it will engage. So you have to throttle up first. Okay. And then yes, you do have to be, sounds like a simple thing, but you do have to be pointed in roughly the right direction. So if I move down to here, for example, right, and then engage the hyperdrive, which I have the keyboard layout. You might have this mapped to a different button if you're playing, but I have it on the basics, so it's J on the keyboard. So
Drive charging.
And when it's charged, it'll charge for a minute and then it'll tell me I'm not pointing in the right direction. So it'll tell me to aim at the star system before it'll engage.
Ready to engage.
So there you go. So align with target destination. Now I'm going to do that, and then we're going to go into hyperspace. And I love this. This never gets old. Watch this.
4, 3, 2, 1.
Boom. I love it. Now my computer's not very high spec, so as we drop out of hyperspace, or particularly as we drop out of Supercruise later on, you'll notice the transition isn't very smooth. Here we go. There we go. So the transition's not all that smooth when we drop out of hyperspace. So we're going to point away from the sun first of all, so we don't crash into it. There you go. See, now you see we've got a proximity warning up there, right? That'll disappear as we get further away from the sun. And what will happen, if you notice there, you'll notice that the speed will increase dramatically as we escape the gravity of the sun. Okay, so we're going to find our destination, and then we're going to also find, when we find our destination, you will quickly discover that we are 19, 20 times the speed of light, which we are now going, is way too fast to be pointing at our destination. So we're going to find it first. So there we go, Wernerberg Cooperative. Beautiful space station that it is what we're going to point at. And the way you find that, see here, you can see in the right corner there of the little display, there's a little orange compass with a yellow bracketed yellow blob. Now that's coming into the centre of our nav compass. That's your nav compass, and that's the bracketed yellow blob is slowly moving into the centre of our nav compass. And what that means is that the space station is directly behind us. And we don't want that. So we're going to turn around, pitch up. And now we're going to be pointing in the right direction. So there it is. Now it's 1,600, well, I presume that's light seconds. But we're going to slow down immediately because we're already going like way too fast. Now, I know what you're thinking. You're thinking, okay, that's a long way away. But believe me, going at 27 times the speed of light, which we are at the moment almost, no, now 24.5, and dropping, that distance will close very, very quickly, and it will tell you to slow down. But what you find in this game is that the warning that tells you to slow down happens way too late. Okay? So by the time you get that warning that says slow down, it's too late, baby. No, it's all over. And you'll just shoot right past it. That's no big thing. You can always sort of turn around and come back. But as that distance is closing, if we look over onto this side here, you can see on the left there is a thing that says Vonneberg Cooperative. It says alignment, distance and speed. And with distance and speed you've got 2 bars. Now in a minute you'll see a needle appear. Supercruise took me a few hours to get the hang of. You'll see a needle appear at on the distance bar, right? Just in a few moments it'll appear. And then, shortly after that, if we got our speed right, you'll see one appear on the speed bar. And when they appear, I'll show that to you. So it'll appear any moment. 4, 3, 2, 1. There we go. So there's a needle has appeared on the distance bar and it's dropping. So what we need to do is slow down quite a lot before it's too late, and then eventually a needle will appear on the speed bar as well. In a moment. Let's hope. If we slow down a bit more, it will. There we go. So a needle's appeared on the speed bar as well. So what you want to do in Supercruise as you're approaching your destination is try to keep those needles more or less aligned. Because you can see over on the left, there's distance and speed, there's a little blue bar. So there's a little blue area on the distance and speed bars over to the left-hand side. And what you want to do to make sure you can drop out, because otherwise you're going to drop out miles away from the space station, it'll take you forever to reach it. So you want to drop out of Supercruise, which is like this, it's not quite hyperspace, but you know, you're travelling, this frame shift drive has a Supercruise option, so you want to make sure that those needles, when both those needles are aligned at the same time, inside their respective little blue bars on the left, what will happen is you'll get a message on your heads-up display that says safe disengage ready. And at that point, you press the frame shift drive button, which again is J. J for hyperspace, J for Supercruise, same thing. We're a bit misaligned at the moment, so we're going to adjust that a little. So we're pointing in the right direction. So yeah, once that happens, you want to press J to drop out of Supercruise. That way you'll if you time it right like that, you'll drop out of Supercruise about within 18 to 20 kilometers of your destination. And that way everybody's happy and everything works out fine. What sometimes also happens as well is you get like an interdiction warning in the screen on where it says info there on the top right. And what that means is that someone is trying to drop you out of Supercruise, so they're flying to drop you out of Supercruise close enough to you. And sometimes that's pirates, after whatever booty you've got in your cargo hold, and of course sometimes not. Sometimes, quite often actually, I've found that quite often it's security force of some sort saying that they're scanning for you know, illegal cargo and things like that, so you have to stop and subject yourself to a ship scan. I don't know what happens if you don't. So far I've been playing the straight arrow. Boring as that might sound. So now over here, look, you can see that we're approaching that safe disengage point. If you look over to the left with the needles, there we go, there it is. So now we just safely disengage. Once again, my computer's not very high spec, so you know, the transition isn't all that smooth, but if you've got a much more high spec machine, I'm sure your transition out of Supercruise will probably be a lot smoother than this, maybe. This is, I mean, how you choose to align yourself for docking is entirely up to you. This is how I do it. This is how I always used to do it. It's much easier in this as well. Excuse me. Now that you can look around your cockpit, because of course you can lock your, so that you're not pitching up and down, you can lock your head movement off and just kind of look around like that. Around your ship, look. So once you get within about 7.5 kilometres, you can request docking clearance. If you do it before that, what I've found, only on one occasion at least, what I've found if you do it before that, they just deny you, so they tell you to wait till you get closer. So at the moment, you can see we're 11 kilometres from the space station. What I do is I line the space station up as well as I can, and then position myself sort of underneath it, actually drop a little bit further down here. And then and then I look through my cockpit there as it goes above me, and once it's in the right position, I'll just stop and turn around. So now we should be close enough, I think, to request docking clearance. So you move over here to your contacts list and you request docking.
Request granted.
Thank you. Of course, you can't see any laser blasting in front of this place. They're all too polite to have fights over here. So in a moment, our alignment's gonna be more or less right. So there we go. We're in more or less the right position. So right at about there, we can kill the speed. Kill the speed, and then we go back to lock ourselves up so we can pitch up. Oh, there we go. And we're heading into landing pad 31. So, you know, first of all, don't... Oh, no. Actually, someone's upset them because someone's getting shot at. So, I spoke too soon there. So, now we're heading in... I usually head in somewhere between 50 and 60 kph. You know, you don't roll over, so you're more or less matching the rotation of the station. It doesn't matter quite as much in this one as it did in the originally, especially when you're in a ship this small, because you can pretty much just you can faff around in the docking area for ages if you wanted to. Don't, because they don't like that sort of thing. And I saw them blow up an Anaconda yesterday, gigantic Anaconda spacecraft, if you remember how big those are from the original Elite. I saw a space station open fire on Anaconda.
Detecting hostile scan.
Oop, and destroy it in seconds. So now I approach the gate at this time, but once I get inside these little wire things here on either, which I believe are some sort of electromagnetic field generators and things like that, to help you with your docking alignment. But once I'm inside there, I'll slow to about 20 kph, something like that, right? So we've got landing pad 31. So if you look in your thing there. Okay, so the reason that I approach at slower speed once I'm inside is because it's all very well, if you come through that gate at 60 kph, if you're all the way down the other end, which we are, there's our docking padlock, 31. Now if you're all the way down the other end, this is no problem at all. But if you come through the docking, the entrance there to the starport, and you're at a docking pad that is here, you know, which could possibly be, if you're at a docking pad right underneath you, then you'll overshoot by some considerable distance. So, what we're going to do, I'll slow that down a bit, so that we can make a nice slow approach to this, so you can get a good look around you. You see, and you can see how much prettier this place is, look, with parks and little open green areas and walkways here. Even the announcements in this station are much more polite than they were at the other one. You can see all these little vehicles going in here, look. haulers and things like that going along this road all the way around the space station and to the other side. I'm going to pitch up a little bit because we're getting a bit low there. So we're heading here to 31. So as I say, I'm making a particularly slow approach here. So, you know, oh, not slow enough. I should make sure you deploy your landing gear.
Warning, landing gear not deployed.
Is deployed. Oh, for God's sake. See, otherwise she just comes in and she'll tell you off. So then you line yourself up with the docking pad here. Slow down a little bit more, maybe. Make sure you're lined up. And kill your engines. And pitch up a little bit and thrust down.
Docking successful. Engines disengaged.
There you go. Excellent. Now, you can visit starport services from the surface here, if you wish. You know, if all you want to do is refuel, okay, so you just go into fuel and munitions and just, you know, fuel there. Or if all you want to do is just visit, refuel, or just sell your commodities and then disappear, you can do that as well. No problems whatsoever. But because I like going inside the hangar, and I feel a little bit safe. There's no logic behind feeling safer, but I do, for some reason, think that I'm less likely to get blown to smithereens or something if I'm inside. Plus, I kind of like the animation, and for the purposes of this video, of course, I also wanted to show you the difference between docking at this starport and docking at one of the others. So if you remember all that clunky hydraulic noise from the other one, if we go into this one, and you listen carefully, you'll notice that it's a lot quiet. Even their hydraulics are quieter here, so listen. Smooth as silk. I'm going to leave you now. What I'll put a link in the description to I did an extensive review of this game, or preview of this game, I should say, long before I was ever able to play it, based on everything. You can find that over on my blog. I haven't written anything on blog at the moment for a long time. All the stuff there is kind of in flux at the moment. For the same reason I haven't made a lot of videos either, so I haven't made any videos lately that I've been planning to. I don't have any video camera at the moment. The only thing I have is my phone, but hopefully we'll be able to make a few more videos later on once I get back to the UK, which should be at some point in the next year. Once I get back to the UK, hopefully I'll be able to make more videos there. But I'm wary of promising anything, because as people have pointed out to me before, whenever I promise anything, something happens to sort of stop me from doing it. Unfortunately, it's usually me. But anyway, I've bored you long enough, so what I'm going to do now is leave you. You know, you can visit Frontier's website, Elite Dangerous website, and check out the game for yourself, or, you know, buy it and get online, get out there, and you know, that's me, Sleepless Night there. So if you buy the game and you're out there looking around, then, you know, I will see you out there. But until then, the only thing left to say, of course, is 30 years, baby. 30 years.